2 tables left. We're getting close to that bracelet, baby.
2 outer versus 2 outer.
You don't believe?
River. Oh my God!
All right, now this is where things are gonna get spicy.
Tasha, a little bit of a gangster, huh?
I really like that he's trying to get every piece of information he can get.
Me, I'm just treating it like another day in the office.
I ended up at a dealer party where all the WSOP dealers were. That was actually pretty fun.
On the shuttle here, heading to day 4 of the main event. I definitely do prefer walking to the tournament to get those steps in, but I was running a little bit late today, so I jumped on the shuttle. We're 24 players away from the $10 million top prize, and I'm really just locked in. The intensity level in your body, in your mind, definitely rises. I'm not exactly sure how to even describe it, but my instinct, my senses, my awareness, they all just feel so heightened. And I think that just comes from a combination of being prepared for the moment through study, routine building, and of course having experience being in the spotlight and having some big deep runs in the past. I don't even know what payout I'm guaranteed right now, as I don't pay too much attention to the actual dollar amounts when I'm deep in tournaments. I do look at the payouts early in the tournament when they first get announced. That's just so I could understand if this is a top heavy structure or a flat one, because that's going to impact my strategy a little bit. But after that, and once we're in the money, I'm literally just looking at the left side of the screen, so I'm aware of where the pay jumps are. If you start thinking too much about the money too soon and how it might change your life, it could start impacting your game. And we're going to be playing down to the final table today, so let's get to it.
Welcome back to the World Series of Poker Paradise Super Main Event. 24 players remain, all guaranteed $335,000. We play down to a final table tonight. Let's say hi. Faraz Jaka is here. Faraz, do you feel a certain electricity, buzz in the room with just 3 tables left in this tournament?
For me, I'm just treating it like another day in the office. There's still a long way to go, but yeah, the moment is epic, as you can see.
Good luck, everyone. Dealers, shuffle up and deal.
$24 left with $10 million up top. I cannot overstate how much money that is.
Here I open the button off a 25 big blind stack, and my opponent in the small blind shoves about 11 big blinds with ace-3 offsuit. This is certainly a reasonable hand to go all in with. A lot of people are too conservative with their ace-x hands in the small blind here, because we're told an ace with a bad kicker is a crappy hand, which is true, but the important thing to recognize here is I am opening such a wide range on the button that I'm just going to have to fold a lot, and it'll take it down with your ace-x. So normally on the button, a player should be opening around 50% of the time. Here, because the ICM, I'm going to be opening something closer to 40% of the time. So there's just a lot of crappy hands in my range, like king-8 offsuit, queen-6 suited, that he's going to get auto folds out of. Now, I will say his hand is right on the border, though, because with 11 big blinds, he doesn't have that much fold equity. So if I were him, I might be shoving something like ace-4 or ace-5 off or better. And if he had a few more chips, let's call it 13 big blinds or so, then I'm more comfortable shoving ace-deuce off plus, because you have a bit more fold equity. All right, let's see if we can hold here. Nice to get an early pot going my way. Even though it's only a 24 big blind pot, these chips are becoming so valuable, and the average stack is getting smaller. So winning this pot is very significant and puts me in a much better position to make this final table. All right, we're gonna look at 2 quick hands here from Terrence Reed. He is a Jaka coaching community member on my training site, and this is a huge moment for him. This is a much larger buy-in than he normally plays. His biggest score prior to this was $193,000. So he's already in new high score territory here, and he's facing a bluff catching spot with king 5 on a king high board versus Benny Glaser, who is a very tough player. And it looks like he's double barreling here to put some pressure on some Jack X and 7X type hands that Terrence is going to have to fold here. With King 5, I'd like to see Terrence call here again on the turn. The only time I would consider folding here is if you're up against someone who does not bluff enough, but I don't think that's going to be the case when you're up against Benny. So it looks like Terrence makes the correct call. And now on the 3 of diamonds, if Benny goes for it here, this is going to be a pretty tough spot. Benny does have the 10 of diamonds in his hand, which makes this a very decent combo for him to shove with. He's blocking some hands like Jack 10 of diamonds that Terrence could have. But then again, this is going to be for Benny's tournament life, which does make it a very significant decision. And it looks like he decides to wave the white flag, and Terrence is going to pick up a nice 12 big blind pot. All right, now this is where things are going to get spicy. So strap in your seatbelt, folks. Terrence opens the button off a 35 big blind stack. Natasha is sitting on 30 big blinds in the small blind and 3 bets with Jack 7 of diamonds. 3-betting with Jack 7 suited is definitely wide here, but it can be fine if you think the button is opening too wide, or if you think they're going to overfold versus your 3-bet. And it's actually a very interesting dynamic for everyone who is watching this on the live stream. Natasha had recently made a huge bluff with Queen Deuce suited, representing quads and getting someone to make a big fold. And then just the last hand before this, the cutoff opened off an 11 big blind stack. Terrence flatted in the small blind, and she shoved all in with 9-6 offsuit, which is an absolute crazy play. She maybe had some sort of physical read she went with, but nonetheless, she's made 2 very crazy plays, but no one has seen either of them because this stream is on a 30-minute delay. You're not allowed to have your phones at the table. So until there's a break, you're not going to get the update from your friends or be able to check the stream to see what hands players had. So I think the situation at the table is people are a little bit suspicious of what she's doing because she's been in some big pots and been a little bit active, but people have no idea how insanely aggressive she's been playing. So Terrence flats here, which is a good call. He's in position, he covers her. It's a small 3-bet sizing, and he flops top pair here, and she makes a crazy 2x pot jam, which I'm sure Terrence was not expecting. I also would not be expecting that, and he's wondering what the hell she's doing. Now, if you want to talk about theory, you definitely cannot fold this, but at the same time, this is very clearly not a theory play. And one of the commentators was saying he just has to call. This has got to be a snap call. And I think that's easy to say when you've seen the last few hands she's been playing. But again, he does not have that information. And I've seen a lot of players here just do this with pocket jacks, pocket queens, because they don't want an overcard to come. They don't want a 9, an 8, a 10 to come. And then they have a very tough decision. And I don't really see her doing this with something like ace king, ace queen that just has no connectivity to the board. I feel like she'd need to have something like 7-6 suited, jack 9 suited, maybe queen jack. But I really don't see her 3-betting 7-6 suited this shallow. Jack 9 suited and queen jack off would probably be the main hands I think she could be doing this with if I'm in Terrence's shoes, because again, I don't expect her to be 3-betting jack 7 suited and taking some of these crazy lines. So yeah, this is a really tough spot. I'm honestly not sure what I would do if I was Terrence. I think if I had any suspicion at all that she's up to no good, I'm definitely just putting it in. If I'm up against someone that I think is not capable of making big moves or ever having enough bluffs, it's a spot I might overfold. That said, she has been very active. That would definitely be creeping into my mind. Terrence is really thinking this one through. He's trying to get a read on her.
Wow. But okay, Terrence has had a pretty sick read on her.
Start my clock, please. Tasha, a little bit of a gangster, huh?
I really like that he's trying to get every piece of information he can get.
What do you think I have?
I don't care.
Props to Natasha here, who's having a lot of courage to even engage back and make a lot of physical reactions, trying to give off reverse tells. She's smiling, she's laughing. She looks more comfortable than you'd expect someone to look when they're bluffing for their tournament life.
How can I not put the chips in with this hand? You're just going to show ace queen to the world.
But again, it's really hard to say unless you've really been studying someone and know their baselines. And Terrence is gonna make the fold, and I'm sure that one probably felt gross once he saw it back on stream, but nonetheless was indeed a tough spot. Terrence went on to finish 4th place for a life-changing $3 million score. He's not a full-time pro. He works in the poker industry. And as a former Jaka coaching student, he ended up joining me for a coaching event where we reviewed his deep run together while students got to participate in a live Q&A. And I'm giving out the recording to all of you for free. Just visit jaka.poker/3mil to get it immediately. If you plan on playing the WSOP main event, WPT, MSPT, WSOP circuit main events, any tournament where you may be playing against a large field and a significant amount of money on top, then you're not going to want to miss this. You're going to see how we analyze these spots, the type of study routine Terrence has as a non-professional that still wants to stay ahead of the curve. And you're also going to hear me dish out some key tips, strategies, and exploits that you could use to run deep in these tournaments. All right, back to the action.
All right, we're down to 15 players, so we're combining to 2 tables. I've got 84 mil. Average is 96 mil, which is 32 big blinds, playing down to the final 8 or 9. 2 tables left. We're getting close to that bracelet, baby.
I want to be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities.
Here I'm making a play that might surprise a lot of people that haven't studied these reshove spots. So we have JNT under the gun with a big stack who opens. He's definitely a very aggressive player. He's a very wealthy, successful businessman who plays high stakes and likes to get after it. I'm in the big blind with Queen 10 of hearts, 16 big blinds, and I shove all in. So a lot of people miss this reshove using the logic that, hey, Queen 10 suited plays good post flop, so there's no reason to use it as a 3-bet bluff here. But what people are missing is when you are up against an early position, much stronger range, you're going to in turn need to use stronger hands as bluffs. And the combo you want to use as your bluff here are combos that get hands that dominate you to fold. So for example here, if I shove, I'm expecting him to fold hands like Ace 10 off, King 10 off, King 10 suited, Queen Jack off, Queen Jack suited, and even King Queen offsuit. So when you can rattle off that many hands that dominate you that are going to fold, this becomes a great play. It's much better than the alternative where you call, you hit a 10, you hit a queen, and now you might be dominated. And on the flip side, I'm actually going to take a hand like King Queen suited here and just call because I'm actually trapping him, keeping in his hands that I dominate, that I don't want him to fold. And here in the commentary booth, you hear Martin Cabral make a couple comments. So I'm going to touch on 2 things he said. The first thing he said was JNT is going to be raising every hand, playing super aggressively, just as he should. And then he later says he doesn't like my reshove because it plays good post flops. And also JNT is not the type of guy who's going to fold pocket 7s here, he's going to call too wide. And I'm lucky he only had king high this time. So a couple things to unpack here. First of all, there's a bit of inconsistency in what Martin is saying in the commentary booth, because first he says he's going to be opening every hand, playing super aggressively, but then he says, I'm lucky he only had king high. So very clearly, if someone is opening extremely wide, you get to reshove wider. It just means he's going to have hands like Ace 9 off, Jack 9 suited, 7 8 suited, stuff that I'm going to get a lot more folds out of compared to if someone opened here off a 40 big blind stack, or maybe just someone who wasn't as aggressive. And the second thing is a lot of people just see that JNT is super aggressive, super sticky, likes to battle, so they think he's never going to fold a hand like King Queen here. But that's really simplifying him more than he deserves to be. So what I've noticed about JNT is if you 3-bet him, you overbet against him, you double barrel him, he likes to play very sticky, he'll play back at you, he'll raise you, and he likes to be able to put pressure back on you. But in these pre-flop situations where he doesn't really have an opportunity to outplay you, he's actually not so crazy. So I'm not surprised at all that he folded this king queen here, and it's totally the right fold as well. I would not be calling king queen there if I was J&T. It's an easy fold. Now we got pocket nines here in the big blind with 18 big blinds versus Leonard, who's opening the cutoff off a 30 big blind stack. He's a very good high stakes player. He's certainly going to be opening wide here, given that the button and me are both short and there's a lot of ICM pressure on us. And the big stack Natasha is in the small blind, which means he's not going to have to play out of position versus her. So my strategy here is going to be shoving something like any pocket pair, ace 10 off plus, and some of my bluffs are going to be hands like ace 2 suited through ace 5 suited that get hands that dominate us to fold, similar to that queen 10 suited hand I just showed previously. But the difference here is that we're facing a much wider and weaker opening range from late position. So if I did have queen 10 suited here, I would actually just flat because that's too strong of a hand to bluff with. And I would shift my bluffs down to hands like Jack 10 suited, 9 10 suited, and even Jack 9 suited. And unfortunately, Leonard wakes up with pocket 10s here, and I'll let you guys see this run out.
It is. Jaka has no way out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, other than the red 9 ball on the turn. Ay, ay, ay.
But wait, there is always possible that the 10 is coming on the river, right?
Yeah, good luck with that. You want action? I mean, come on.
You don't believe in fairy tales, Ali?
2 outer versus 2 outer.
You don't
turn and
believe?
river. Oh my
Not
God!
like that! I didn't know that. You knew that?
No, of course we don't know it.
Hey
Martin.
guys, if you use spoilers, I didn't know that, but I predicted. I think
set over
I
set,
think, guys,
turn and river.
This must be Matrix. This is not real life.
It's funny, walking around Atlantis Casino the rest of the day, everyone kept coming up to me, even guys like Helmuth telling me how brutal of a bad beat that was and how much it must have stung. But honestly, once the chips are all in, I don't even pay attention to how the board ran out. I just see these spots as coolers where both players had to get their chips in. I'm going to win 18% of the time. That means if I'm in this spot 100 times in my career, I'm going to win 18 of them and I'm going to lose 82 of them. So when those bad beat comes, whether they're in my favor or not, I just see it as one of those 18 times playing out. So there's no reason to be surprised or emotional when something happens that's supposed to happen.
Faraz, what runs through your mind after a run like this, a day like this?
I was definitely, focusing on the spots that I knew well and the ones I didn't, keeping track of them in my head that I want to review later. Kind of been very process orientated through it.
Respect that. With that said, if we take a look at the result, do you allow yourself to take a little bit of pride at how well you've done in this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't even looked at how much the cashes are. I'm aware where the jumps are, right. But I literally just don't even think about the money until probably 2 days from now. Okay. So I'm sure I'll be happy with the score, yeah.
All right, cool. Trip finally coming to an end. It just I was expecting a couple days to wind down and go do the slides and everything, but whenever you run deep, you don't get time to do any of that stuff. I remember in 2012 when I got third here for 755K. Same thing happened that trip. The entire trip, I basically didn't get to do anything, just at the tables nonstop. That's a good thing, and that just gives you some reason to come back next time. And you either run deep and do well, or you bust out and get to enjoy Paradise. I'll take either one. Last night was fun though. After getting knocked out, jumped in the commentary booth until the last 2 players got knocked out. After that, went to dinner with Kevin Rabichow, a good friend of mine, also one of our Jaka coaching coaches, and also Benny Glaser. He finished, I don't remember, I think he busted right after me or something. He busted 11th maybe. He's a great player, also a friend. So yeah, we just had some drinks together, grabbed dinner,
And the way casino layout there is, you know, it's a small, intimate casino. So if anyone's around having fun, having drinks, they're all going to be in the same place. So ran into Helmuth, ran into Scott Wilson, who was one of the co-founders of Paradise Poker way back in the day. Jeff Gross, and yeah, just a bunch of people. And that's kind of the vibe here on the last day. Actually, I forgot to film this, but I ended up at a dealer party where all the WSOP dealers were. That was actually pretty fun. You know, these guys have been watching you play all week. Now you get to actually shoot the shit and kind of hear what they have to say. A lot of cool folks. It's also kind of funny, like the dealers are basically just like the poker pros. They are on tour. They get to pick their own schedule, go to certain events just because they like being there more than others. They'll sometimes get Airbnbs together with other dealers. So very similar to the lifestyle of a poker player. Look at this beautiful view here. You miss this view?
I am finally on my way back home. Big thank you to all of you guys rooting me on this week. That was a super fun, deep run. Glad you guys got to be a part of it. Thanks for all the messages. Even if I didn't get to respond to all of them, I definitely see them and they hype me up. So thank you. Yeah, I literally played like 8 days straight and been on the road for 3 weeks. It was intense, but I'm very happy with how it ended, of course. It was a great way to end the year. It was a very good year in tournaments for me, so happy about that. And I haven't done as much hand analysis on this last trip, just so I could stay locked in and focused. But I did document a ton of hands and got a bunch of footage of awesome stuff. I am gonna be sharing a bunch of learning content now that the trip's over. Got a couple nice hands I'm gonna be emailing out and breaking down in my weekly newsletter, so make sure you're on there. I didn't share what I had in some of these big spots because I didn't want my opponents to know. You might have saw that on stories. But I will share with you guys what I had on my newsletter. I'm definitely going to be doing a full-on lesson for Jaka coaching members where we're going to review all the key spots I played. I'll probably bring on Tomas to review them with me. A lot of good stuff to look forward to. Thanks again for all the support. It was fun.